In my pre-final year of college, I had offers from 4 companies directly from LinkedIn, 2 placements from college as well. And at the end of the day, just having those amount of options can really boost your confidence. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you those exact 10 tips and tricks that I recommend you to implement on your LinkedIn today so that you can actually bring about similar results for yourself. These tips have till date, even after graduating and being in the industry for 4 to 5 years, helped me get attention from either employers or employees that I want at this time. The first most important thing that the employer sees when they visit your profile is, of course, the section where you have your profile photo and your banner. So my first tip for you is to have a professional looking profile picture. For example, if you take a look at my profile right here, you would see that my profile picture looks quite good and professional. But would you believe it? I have not gone into any studio to click this picture. No way, that's way too expensive. We're going to be doing it for free. The way you do it is you go onto Canva, go into elements and find frames. Under frames, I personally like to pick this one. All you need to do is change the color to your liking. Go ahead, select any picture where you're looking good and professional and upload it to Canva. And for instance, I'm going to be adding this one right here. Position it the way you would want. So I'm going to be taking this right here. Now, even though it's a picture from the mountains, I'm going to be making it a professional picture. And finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on edit photo. I'm going to remove the background and instead I will add a color of my liking right here. Finally, I will increase the size to full screen over here, basically. And then I will export it. That's it. That's done. There you have your professional profile picture ready. And it probably took us less than a minute to make it. Tip number 2 is to build a professional banner. You want to do something similar with what you've done with the profile picture on Canva for your banner. Instead of using a random banner, what your banner should do is describe who you are or whatever you're passionate about. And the best part is that you can make it look pretty simply because you're designing it. Now, of course, you may have a banner where you are basically interested in a position in digital marketing and you're telling about your skills, experiences over there. You may be using logos of tools that you use, right? You may be using their icons. I, for instance, am right now in a phase where I'm hiring a lot of people for my company and we help students with their education and working overseas and getting them jobs and everything. So my banner really looks like this: study, work, and build a life overseas with me. It has my name and a simple design over here. Using a banner like this shows the employer that you care about what you are doing and you really put special focus on making your profile look good. Tip number 3, claim your username. And this is extremely important. The reason is that you might have a username like this when you first sign up on LinkedIn. And that's okay. That's really what they randomly give you. But at the end of the day, you don't want this to be the permanent URL. Now, how do you go ahead and change this to something more amicable? Well, it's right over here. Public profile and URL. You click on this one. And then again, you click on the URL over here. You want to edit it. Click on this. And then you can put in something that you prefer. For instance, in my case, the URL is my last name followed by my first name. The reason why you want a good URL is because of SEO. So if you go on to Google and you type your name, LinkedIn shows up first. And the reason for that is because your SEO has been done properly. You have a good URL and you have quite some content on this LinkedIn page. On top of that, having a good URL is important for 2 reasons. Another reason why you should have a professional URL with your name and only your name in it instead of these random keywords is it looks better on a resume. If you submit your resume somewhere, instead of an ugly long URL with random characters on it, you have your name at the end of the LinkedIn website, which makes it so much easier for the employer to go ahead and visit it. Tip number 4 is to have a proper headline. Back in the day, about 10 years back, the proper headline used to be your position names. For instance, you could be content writer at YMGrad. That's it, right? Your title at the company, that's it. That was it. But now, in the last couple of years, the headline has been used to portray so much more. It is essentially used nowadays to explain who you are in a single line. So you could use a template like this. You can write your current position first. Next thing you write is your past experiences, whatever you're proud of, wherever you've worked, where you're proud of. And finally, you can write your specialization or how you're going to be adding value to a company. In reality, your headline will look very different based on who you are. For instance, if you're a student, you may use a headline like this. If you have a big name on your resume from the past, you can use a headline like this. And if you have no big names, That's also okay. You can use a headline like this. Point number 5 is to add the pronunciation of your name on LinkedIn. It just starts to look so much better with this icon right over here where people can hear your voice, hear you speak, and of course you get to tell them your name and the right pronunciation of it. Now this feature is only available on the LinkedIn mobile app. So the way you do it is to go on to your LinkedIn page, you click on the edit button next to your profile, and from there you record your name, and that's it. You save it. Tip number 6 is the about section. Do not skip this section. It is extremely important and it tells the employer who you are and what your aspirations are, or it may even tell them what you've done in the past. So really use this section to tell your story, but I personally like to tell it in a very concise manner. A lot of people use the about section to write essays. I don't recommend using more than 300 to 400 words max. In fact, I use much less than that. As long as you can describe your passion or tell them your why as to why you're working in this field and why you're doing what you do, I think you've accomplished acing the about section. My tip number 7 for you is to add skills and endorsements. See, adding the skills is very easy. You go ahead to the skills section on your profile, you click plus, and then you type the name of the skill you would like, and you can literally add hundreds of skills in a matter of minutes. But the main important part is that even after you add the skill, you need to get endorsements from people in the industry who know this skill. I would recommend getting at least 3 to 5 endorsements for each and every skill you add. Add the skills that you really know so that people are comfortable endorsing you. Employers focus on endorsed skills heavily. For instance, I'm an employer, and if I see one of my present or past employees endorsing a candidate for, let's say, data science, and I'm looking for data scientists, what I would do is I would believe that this candidate that I'm looking at is good simply because he is endorsed by someone that I already know. So make sure you add the skills and ask for endorsements. Tip number 8 is to request recommendations. Now, earlier I used to have quite some recommendations over here, but right now I'm in a position in the industry where I don't really want to be hired. Otherwise, I would be asking for recommendations from all the people who have supervised me. Right now, I'm giving the recommendations essentially because I'm supervising a company, but more or less, you almost always want to receive as many recommendations as possible. Again, employers focus on recommendations from people that they know. And trust me, employers know a lot of people in the industry. They meet a lot of people on a daily basis. What I also would suggest is to avoid having a lot of recommendations from co-workers. Yes, recommendations from co-workers work. When, let's say, my friend is working at Google and I also want a job at Google, I would get their recommendation that yes, this person is someone I've worked with and I believe that they have the right kind of skill sets for this position. But in almost every other case, you want these endorsements to come from people who have managed you either directly or indirectly. Tip number 9 is to add past experiences, and that's important. For each and every company that you worked with, you should list down your experience with the company in a format like this. And the best way to do it is to make sure that you've added the correct timelines. Make sure you write the type of technologies you worked with, the kind of algorithms you implemented, and explain everything that you were a part of in bullet points. You can also use numbers and statistics to show the impact that you had on a particular company. You can have numbers like this. At the end of the day, if your experience is looking like this, it's usually good. My final tip to you, tip number 10, it is the final tip, but it is most important, and that is to network with people in the same field. LinkedIn is an amazing place to get to know people who are working in the same industry as you. On top of that, you can build lasting bonds with them. You can connect with them. You can help them out in many cases. If they are looking for a job, help them, refer them. But at the end of the day, expect to give more than to receive. And trust me, with that kind of a mentality where you give more, you really build genuine connections. And when you are in need, there will be dozens of people for you. That's all you need to do to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is improved, it's boosted, and employers are looking at it actively. Make sure you implement at least some of these pointers today. Otherwise, there's no point watching this video. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching this one, and I hope to see you on the next one. Goodbye and take care.